this segment, we take a look at a board game based on IP, and I tell you if the IP and the mechanisms match. Today we're looking at Beowulf, the movie, the board game. At this time period, a movie was released based on Beowulf, and we got two games. We got one called the movie, the board game, and one called just the game. Of the two, I think the other one is a better property, but today we're looking at the movie version. In this one, we get a game that's already been released called Kingdoms by Reiner Knizia, and they just slap Beowulf on. They change some of the miniatures, and they kind of somewhat attach the movie to the board game. In this game, you are taking these miniatures, which are multipliers, and putting them out onto an abstract grid, and you will be placing tiles, and the miniatures times the numbers on the tiles can lead to a positive or a negative number. You will score each column and row as you're going through, and you'll play 3 eras, or 3 boards, if you will, or set pieces, with each one getting larger and larger and perhaps worth more points as the game progresses. So a lot of what you do in the first one doesn't really matter because the third one is probably where you're going to score all the points anyway. The little trick to the game is that those little miniatures, little multipliers I told you about, well, if you play them in Act 1, you're not going to have them for Act 3, except for the ships. You get the ships back every single time, which is just a multiplier of 1. If this abstract game to you feels like Beowulf, then you are likely alone. This game had pretty much nothing to do with Beowulf. As much as they try to shoehorn this Kingdoms game onto it, this is exactly what we're not looking for in an IP game. Now, we all know the mass market children's games have just rolling and spinning and move, and I'll put those in their own category. This is probably next of the cardinal sins of IP board games, which is take an existing game that has nothing to do with the source material, slapping the source material on it, and then trying to sell it over and over again. Total miss for me. Nothing you need to see here. Absolute Purge, and the IP and the mechanisms do not fit together whatsoever.